All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
We've got a really interesting session today. We've gathered a whole bunch of source material, articles, notes, you name it, all focus on one specific question.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to, dig through it all together, pull out the absolute best bits, the most useful insights for you.
Kind of like getting the highlights reel, but with all the important context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A shortcut to really understanding a topic,
Uh-huh.
hopefully with some aha moments sprinkled in.
Sounds good.
So today's topic,
Uh,
it's one that trips up, I think, a lot of people trying to get good at English.
okay.
It's this idea, this belief that you must live in an English-speaking country to become truly fluent.
Yeah, that old chestnut. It's super common advice, isn't it?
Totally. And it can make people feel really stuck,
Yeah.
if moving just isn't on the cards for them.
Absolutely. It's a huge mental block for so many learners. They hit a certain level and just think, okay, I guess I need to pack my bags for London or Toronto now.
Right.
But the sources we've been looking at, they really push back against that idea. Quite strongly, actually.
Oh, interesting. So they don't just say it's possible from home.
No, not at all. They go much further. They basically offer a detailed roadmap, like step-by-step strategies for how you can build real fluency right where you are. No move required.
Okay, that's what we're digging into today. That's our mission for this deep dive. We want to explore what these sources are really telling us, distill those key lessons, and, give you practical, actionable things you can start doing, like today, to boost your English.
Yeah.
All without buying a plane ticket.
And some of the findings might be a bit surprising, especially around what fluency actually is.
Can't wait. Ready to jump in.
Let's do it. And, one of the first big things that jumps out from the sources is how they tackle that myth head on. The one about needing to live abroad.
Okay.
They basically say, hold on, just being in an English-speaking country, that's no guarantee you'll become fluent.
Wait, really? That feels counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Surely being surrounded by English 24/7 would just force you to learn.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the sources give some pretty solid reasons why it doesn't always work out that way.
Like what?
Well, they point out that a lot of people who move, say, to London or New York, they naturally find communities of people from their own country.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Comfort zone.
Exactly. Or they might get a job where they don't actually need to use much English day to day.
Right. Or maybe they're just nervous.
That's a big one, too. Feeling intimidated, scared of making mistakes. So they kind of avoid situations where they have to speak English.
Because they could be living there for years.
And still spend most of their time speaking their native language. The sources really emphasize this. It's not the physical place that makes you fluent.
It's the engagement.
It's the quality and consistency of your daily interaction with English. That's what the sources pinpoint. Fluency is something you have to actively build.
Through deliberate practice and exposure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not just something you passively receive because of your postcode. It's not a gift of geography.
Okay, that's a really crucial distinction. It shifts the power back to the learner, doesn't it? Away from location, towards what you actually do. So if location isn't the main thing, then what are we aiming for?
Let's unpack that term, fluent, because the sources seem to define it in a way that feels, well, more achievable than just sounding like a native.
They really do. They define fluency very practically.
Yeah.
It's basically the ability to get your thoughts and ideas out naturally.
Naturally, meaning?
Meaning without constantly stopping to translate word for word in your head. It means you can follow a conversation as it happens, understand what people mean, and respond pretty smoothly.
Okay.
And a really key part they mention is using common phrases and expressions almost automatically without thinking too hard about them.
So it's less about perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, and more about the flow, the ease of getting your message across. Exactly. The sources are really clear on this. They say you can absolutely be fluent and have an accent. You will make mistakes.
Even native speakers make mistakes.
Right. Everyone does. The goal isn't zero errors. It's about your communication flowing well, being easy for others to follow, and you being able to join in without huge effort or really awkward silences.
That feels much less daunting.
Yeah. Fluency, according to these sources, is really measured by how well you connect and express yourself, not by counting mistakes.
Phew. Okay, that's a massive relief, I bet,
Yeah.
for anyone feeling that pressure to be perfect. Makes the goal seem within reach.
Definitely.
So building on that idea of achieving flow, the sources talk about what they see as like the fundamental rule for learning any language. They call it the input-output rule.
Ah, yes, the input-output rule. It's foundational.
That's important. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple when you think about it. And it mirrors how we learned our first language. The basic idea is this. Your ability to produce English that's speaking and writing, the output, it directly depends on how much and what quality of English you take in.
So listening and reading, the input.
Exactly. Think about babies. What do they do for the first year or so?
Listen. Absorb everything.
Right. They spend months and months just soaking up the sounds, the words, the rhythm of the language around them. Pure input. They don't try to spit complex sentences on day one.
They're like little input sponges.
Totally. Your brain needs that huge amount of fuel, the sounds, the structures, the vocabulary, before it can start effectively generating its own output in English.
So consistent daily input, that's the bedrock.
That's what the sources argue. It's non-negotiable for building fluency. Even more important, they say, than where you physically live. You got to feed your brain with English.
Fill the tank, basically.
Yep, fill the tanks.
Okay, so daily input is crucial. But let's get practical. If you're not living in, say, London or Sydney, how do you actually get that consistent daily dose? You're not just bumping into native speakers at the shops.
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the sources offer a really brilliant strategy for this.
Which is?
Create your own English bubble.
An English bubble?
Yeah. You don't need to be in New York physically. You need to bring the essence of that English environment to your mind. Make it surround you digitally and mentally.
Okay, I like the sound of that. How do you do it? What are the practical steps?
Well, they give some really concrete examples. First up, your digital world. Change your phone language to English. Change your computer OS language.
Simple, but makes sense. You see it constantly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then be intentional online. Seek out English content on YouTube, Netflix, whatever you use. Watch stuff in English. The algorithms will start showing you more.
Train your algorithm.
Pretty much. Follow English-speaking creators on social media, English news sites, English teachers. Make your online space predominantly English.
So curate your digital environment. What else?
Think about your passive time, commuting, doing chores. Instead of listening to news or music in your native language, switch to an English podcast or English playlists.
Replacing existing habits. Clever.
Yeah. Or even just scrolling social media, try reading captions in English, follow accounts that post in English. The goal is to weave English into the background fabric of your day.
So it's always there, like a low hum.
Precisely. And commit to something every single day. One video, one article, one podcast episode, even just 5 minutes. Make English exposure unavoidable in your personal world.
Create your own little immersion zone. I love that. Okay, but speaking, that still feels like the big hurdle if you're not constantly interacting with native speakers.
The output part.
Yeah. And the sources make a pretty bold claim here. They say you don't actually need a speaking partner to practice speaking effectively.
That one definitely raises eyebrows, doesn't it? How can you practice speaking alone?
Exactly. How does that work?
So the sources offer some really practical, quite ingenious techniques for this. One is called shadowing.
Shadowing, like following someone.
Kind of. You find a native speaker's recording could be a podcast clip, a scene from a show, a YouTube video you listen to a short chunk. And then you immediately try to repeat exactly what they said, not just the words, but mimicking their rhythm, their intonation, the ups and downs of their voice, their pronunciation.
Oh, I see. So you're copying the music of the language, not just the lyrics.
Beautifully put, yes. You're training your mouth muscles and your ear-brain connection to produce authentic English sounds and flow.
Okay. That sounds challenging, but potentially very effective. What's another solo technique?
1-minute talks. This one's great for fluency building.
1 minute.
Yep. Pick a simple topic. Anything. What I had for breakfast. My favorite movie. The weather today. Describe this room.
Okay. Random topics.
Set a timer for 1 minute. And just talk. Talk about that topic in English nonstop for the full minute.
Without worrying about mistakes.
Don't worry about perfect grammar. Don't pause searching for the absolute perfect word. Just keep talking. Keep the English flowing out of your mouth.
Forces you to think on your feet in English, doesn't it? Build that speed.
Exactly. And the third technique they suggest is describing your world. As you go about your day, just narrate what you're doing out loud in English.
Like, I am now opening the fridge.
Yep. I'm opening the fridge. This coffee smells amazing. Okay, time to check my email. This bus is really crowded today.
Feels a bit weird, maybe, talking to yourself.
It might feel odd at first, yeah. But the sources explain the benefit. You're building automatic reflexes. You're connecting English words and simple sentences directly to your actions, your senses, your environment in real time.
Ah, so it makes the language more grounded in reality for your brain.
Exactly. You become your own running commentator, your own speaking partner in a way, constantly activating the language.
Okay, those are really practical ways to get speaking practice without needing someone else right there. Very cool.
Yeah, they really shift the focus to what you can control.
Now, another really key point the sources hammer home is about phrases. They say focus on learning phrases, not just single words. Why is that so important for fluency?
Think about how fluent speakers actually talk. We don't usually build sentences piece by piece from grammar rules and individual dictionary words every single time we speak.
True, a lot of it feels automatic, like chunks.
Exactly. We use prefabricated chunks, common phrases, idioms, collocations, groups of words that naturally go together. Learning "it depends on" as a single unit is way more useful for fluency than just knowing the definitions of "it depends" and "on."
Right, it comes out faster and sounds more natural.
Totally. The sources give loads of examples of these useful chunks like "I'm not sure, but maybe," or "actually, I've been meaning to."
Oh yeah, or like, let me think for a second.
Precisely. Or "that's a good question," or "to be honest." These phrases buy you time, structure your thoughts, and just make you sound more fluent. Less like a textbook.
More like a real conversation.
Absolutely. So the recommendation from the sources is to actively collect these. Keep a phrase bank.
A phrase bank, like a notebook or a file.
Yeah, somewhere you write down useful phrases you hear in podcasts, see in articles, pick up from movies. And this is crucial. Make a conscious effort to use them yourself when you're practicing speaking or writing.
So collect and activate.
Exactly. Don't just let them sit there. Put them into practice.
That's a really concrete strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the flip side. What stops people? The sources identify what they call the fluency killer. What is it?
Ah, the fluency killer. It's that little voice in your head, that thought pattern. I'll speak when I'm ready.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to learn a bit more vocabulary first. My grammar isn't good enough yet.
Yeah.
I'll practice speaking once my accent is better.
Exactly that. We wait for this magical moment of feeling perfectly prepared, 100% confident.
Which never really comes, does it?
Pretty much never.
Yeah.
And the sources deliver a really powerful reality check on this, they say. You don't get ready first and then speak. You become ready by speaking.
Whoa. Okay, say that again.
You become ready by speaking. The act of doing it, even imperfectly, is what builds the readiness. That preparation phase never really ends if you're waiting for perfection.
So the waiting itself is the problem. It's the obstacle.
That's exactly what they argue. That fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of sounding silly, that's what holds people back far more than any actual lack of words or grammar rules.
So the advice is?
Embrace the messiness. The sources basically urge you. Make mistakes. Forget words. Say things awkwardly. Sound imperfect. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. Push through that discomfort.
Because that's where the growth happens.
That's exactly where the growth happens. Every attempt, every slightly clumsy sentence is a rep, building that fluency muscle, building that confidence. Action over perfection.
Build momentum through doing, not just thinking about doing.
Got it.
Yeah.
But okay, even with all the solo practice, at some point, you do want to connect with real people, right? For actual interaction.
Absolutely. Real-time conversation is still vital. So if you're not living abroad, where do the sources suggest you find people to talk to? How do you get that interactive practice?
This is where the internet becomes such an amazing resource. The sources point to a whole range of online platforms and communities built specifically for language exchange.
Okay, like what?
They mention apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, Speaky. These connect you directly with native speakers or other learners who want to practice, often for free.
Language exchange partners.
Exactly. They also suggest checking out language exchange subreddits on Reddit, looking for English practice servers on Discord, or even joining online speaking clubs that meet over Zoom or similar platforms.
And so there are actually tons of options online now.
Way more than ever before. And a really important message from the sources about using these platforms is, don't be intimidated.
Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But remember, everyone on these platforms is there for the same reason, either to learn or to help others learn. No one's expecting linguistic perfection.
Right, it's a practice space.
Exactly. It's about making the effort, being willing to communicate, however imperfectly. The sources suggest starting small if you're nervous. Maybe just aim for one 10-minute call a week, or even just text chat at first.
build up gradually.
Yeah, but they emphasize that even that small amount of real back-and-forth conversation can make a huge difference to your confidence and how quickly your speaking improves.
That makes finding partners feel much more manageable. Okay, now the sources also had this really creative idea, almost like a game, to simulate immersion without leaving home. The fake travel challenge?
Oh, yeah, the fake travel challenge. I love this one. It's such a brilliant way to seriously boost your personal English bubble.
So what's the concept? How does it work?
The idea is super simple but powerful. You dedicate one full day each week, say, every Saturday, to pretending you are actually in an English-speaking city.
Like London or Toronto or Sydney?
Whichever you like, pick one. And for that entire day, you live by certain rules.
Okay, what are the rules for your fake travel day?
Rule number 1, English only. For the whole day, you only speak English, you only read things in English, you only listen to things in English.
Total immersion for 24 hours.
Well, for your waking hours, yeah. They suggest maybe watching a documentary about your chosen city, in English, of course.
Nice touch.
Write a journal entry about your day, real or imagined, in English. And here's the big one. Actively try to think all your thoughts in English throughout the day.
Whoa, thinking in English. That feels like a real level up. That's even close to real fluency, right?
It absolutely is. It trains your brain to stop defaulting to translation and start processing the world directly through English. It's a huge step.
Okay, what else? Any other tips for fake travel day?
Yeah, they include this great little bonus tip. Even when you're doing normal stuff in your non-English environment, like ordering food or buying something, practice it internally in English first. Mentally rehearse your order. Hi, could I get a flat white and a croissant, please? Even if you then say it in your native language.
So you're still getting the mental practice of formulating the English for real-world situations.
Exactly. It reinforces that thinking in English habit and prepares you for future interactions.
The fake travel day sounds intense, but like a really effective workout for your English brain, creating that mental environment even when the physical one is different.
Totally. It's about maximizing exposure and active use within the constraints you have.
So putting all this together, the daily input, the bubble, the solo speaking practice, focusing on phrases, finding online partners, the fake travel challenge, does it actually work? Do people achieve fluency this way? The sources had examples, right?
They absolutely do. And these aren't just theories. They're backed up by real stories, which is really motivating.
Tell us about them.
Okay, so there's Diego from Brazil, never lived outside Brazil, but he got super serious about input loads of podcasts and practice talking to himself constantly using those solo techniques.
And the result?
He's now fluent enough to work remotely for a Canadian tech company. All his meetings, emails, everything in English.
Wow. From podcasts and talking to himself to a tech job in Canada, that's amazing proof. Who else?
There was Maya from Indonesia. Her main thing was input through entertainment music, Netflix, movies. She really focused on lyrics and dialogue.
Yep.
And she combined that with doing shadowing practice every single day. The sources say she got so confident and skilled that she now handles complex international business calls with ease.
From watching Netflix to nailing international calls. Incredible.
Isn't it? And one more. Arman from Turkey. His big strategy was implementing a strict English-only Saturday every week. Basically his version of the fake travel day.
Consistency with the challenge.
Yeah. And apparently his speaking fluency and speed improved so dramatically that the sources noted he now speaks faster and more naturally than some people they knew who'd actually lived in the UK for a bit.
No way. That really drives the point home, doesn't it?
It really does. These stories just reinforce that central message again and again. Your geographic location is way less important than your consistent, deliberate effort and engagement with the language.
It's not about where you are, but what you do.
Exactly.
So wrapping this all up, the core message we've pulled from all these sources is pretty clear, isn't it? You really, truly do not need that plane ticket to become a fluent English speaker.
Unequivocally, yes. That's the bottom line. What you do need, based on everything we've looked at, is a system.
A system for practice.
A system for consistent practice, yeah. The dedication to build daily habits around English. And honestly, just the decision to start and not give up.
A system built on getting that daily input, creating your own English bubble wherever you happen to be.
Actively practicing speaking, even if it's just talking to yourself or using online tools.
Right, focusing on learning and using those common phrases to sound natural.
And crucially, letting go of that need for perfection, deciding to speak now, learn through speaking, not wait until you feel ready.
Making English a living, breathing part of your everyday life, even in small, consistent ways. That's the path.
That's how you build the skills, build the confidence. The potential for fluency isn't tied to your passport. It's right there within you, ready to be unlocked.
And as we finish this deep dive, the sources left us with one final thought. A really powerful one, I think, for anyone feeling held back by doubt or fear.
Yeah, it's very direct. A great final takeaway. It says, your accent is not a problem. Your fear is, speak anyway.
Wow. Your accent is not a problem. Your fear is.
Mm-hmm.
Speak anyway.
Yeah.
That's something to really sit with. Your accent is just part of who you are, part of your voice. Don't let fear stop you from using it.
Speak anyway. That's the call to action.
Take that idea, run with it. What a great place to end. This has been a fascinating exploration, pulling out so many actionable strategies from the sources on how you can reach English fluency from absolutely anywhere.
Hopefully it's given you lots of ideas and the confidence to try them out.
Absolutely. We really hope you found this deep dive valuable and feel inspired to put some of these techniques into practice. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks everyone.